The amount of whiplash that I have been getting from these Sakamoto Days chapters needs to be studied because, like I said early on when we first got an inkling as to the situation getting derailed with the tunnel effect, all of these instances, if they were to exist in a vacuum, in a singular moment of Sakamoto Days, like Shin getting his head cut off and Atari saving him from that. If Sakamoto was on death's door and Shin did some crazy crap like he just does with this whole heart keep working situation, I would be completely fine with it. It is just the fact that there has been one thing after the other, after the other, after the other, that it just becomes so draining that it's like, what's even happening behind the scenes here? Is this being rushed to an end? Is this just because, as a lot of people in the community often say when they blame the author for a lot of things, they blame the mangaka wrote himself into a corner? I don't even know. Like I said a couple reviews ago, if Sakamoto was to die, well, I think that would be a very interesting decision in a story called Sakamoto Days. I think that would definitely shut up all the people that had said Sakamoto had no stakes, and that they would be very interested to see, just as I would be, where Shin would be able to pick up the mantle, obviously, as this new main character, which for a moment in this chapter, that basically seems like what's going to happen. Hey guys, real quick, if you want to support the channel, make sure you go down to gamersubs.gg/noop and get 10% off your nootropics and energy supplement fix. And we'll get back to the video, because we pick up exactly where we left off, right? With Uzuki being able to stab Sakamoto from behind, and as Sakamoto curses Uzuki, telling him that Rion can't be alive because if she was, obviously, she would have completely decimated him completely without leaving him with just a little bit of life. And Uzuki rightfully is like, hey, we better chop off this dude's head. There's no reason that, he should be given the benefit of the doubt that he's completely dead, like Kumanomi says. And okay, I'm fine with Shin jumping in, saving Sakamoto. It was obvious that Sakamoto was gonna get saved. And then again, this whole interaction of every single main villain, almost every main protagonist being together in this big moment to try and escape is honestly, while it's tense in a way that, because I don't know how these characters are gonna get out of the situation, it's a tension that immediately just, instead of being fully immersed in what's going on, it makes me laugh, because as soon as they get away and they're able to get in the train, which is just clear Sakamoto Days, 101, the fact that they were able to get out of the truck that was about to be destroyed against the wall and everyone got into the train, Boyle just topping all that off with, now that was hard boiled. That's why I love Sakamoto Days. I fucking love that shit. I think it's super funny, but funny in a good way. However, after everything we've had after the last couple of chapters, and everyone's like, look, Shin, you can't save Sakamoto. He knew the cost. This is him going to die. I'm like, damn, are they really gonna kill Sakamoto? There's no way they actually kill Sakamoto. And then we get, I only have one chance. Work, heart. And you know what? If Sakamoto lives here, I'm completely fine with it. I'm gonna read this series to the end. I think it is one of the, most exciting and fun series to read in ongoing shonen manga right now, where we kind of have a little bit of a void with only a few series that are really kind of breaking the mold until we get some genuinely good replacements for bigger series like My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, all that stuff. Not saying that there isn't good stuff out there right now. I'm saying like popular big pillar mangas right now. Kagurabachi has that sauce. I like to think Sakamoto Days has that sauce. And there are definitely other series that are in there as well, but I love Sakamoto Days, and I'm never gonna sit here and be like it's a bad series and you should stop reading it and the story is terrible, because I love the characters in it. I think Yuto Suzuki does an awesome job when he is getting in his bag with backstories and making cool character designs and having great aura farming moments in Sakamoto Days. But like I said, with the end of the exhibition arc, what makes me question everything that's happened is Shin starting all of this off by completely ruining Uzuki's plan was awesome. Uzuki showing up himself for Shin was awesome. And then it just seems like from there, we have slowly put our characters in worse and worse and worse and worse and worse situations that they need to be saved from. And now we just killed Sakamoto last chapter, right? Like, we just put Sakamoto up against every main villain for his big final last stand, even though he wasn't at peak potential, he was at his trauma. And then Sakamoto dies, or quote unquote dies. And then we save him with Shin's one chance to make his heart still just break all physics and still work. And you know what? Honestly, sometimes I could even see this being okay. You know what I mean? Like, if Sakamoto from this near-death experience awakes in like peak potential, and this was actually just one crazy convoluted way to not only heal Sakamoto of his trauma, but put Shin in a perfect position where he shows his growth and is able to fully harness that growth and stand side by side with Sakamoto by saving him in his final moment and proving that he was, you know, worth quote unquote adopting all those years ago and raising and then taking back into the convenience store. I could see this all being turned around, and that's the most interesting part about it, right? Because there is a good story, good characters beneath it. The story can always be saved. There's never a moment where I think Sakamoto Days is completely ruined. It's completely destroyed. After this, Suzuki might crack his knuckles and say, all right, time to draw the best damn final arc that you guys have ever seen in your entire lives. And I would be along for that ride entirely. But it's just these weird little transition phases that are always interesting to cover and analyze and look at, because it's just, like I said, sometimes it's just some of these things take you out, and in a vacuum, they're completely okay. I think Shin using his one-time use against Sakamoto to save his life, while I think there are a multitude of other ways that this could have been done, I do ultimately enjoy the character dynamics and what the story is trying to portray at the end of the day. Even if it is a little zany and even if it is a little wonky, it is always done in that classic Sakamoto Days fashion. And that's what we love about the series, in my honest opinion. We love it for the absolutely ridiculous and absurd fight scenes and the absolutely insane and just unbelievable things that occur in those fights. And again, 220 chapters into this series, while I think sometimes the train gets a little lopsided, something tells me 9 times out of 10 that once something like this happens, it's because Yuto Suzuki is trying to get somewhere important to the story that we are going to love. And whether that is one big final battle, whether that is Sakamoto through this near-death experience regaining his 110% peak power, who knows? Also, one last thing. With, I know I mentioned, you know, I think a way to save all of this would be some kind of tournament arc, which I still honestly agree. I don't think that's as controversial of a take as I thought it would be, because I figured that all of the characters meeting up at a certain spot and having the chance to have 1v1s, it doesn't have to be an actual, all right guys, we're gonna set up an official Assassins tournament. I think a lot of people took what I said very literally, as opposed to just what I meant by creating a situation in the story where we can get one big final face-off and 1v1s that are just nothing but pure Yuto Suzuki choreographed masterpieces to give every character their big moment and due. Which I still think is completely a great way to take it. I think that would be, in my opinion, the best way to end this, now that everyone is basically convinced there's nothing left to do in the story plot-wise, right? Like, we've solved Uzuki's crime and what he's been doing to the world, so besides both groups now looking to kill each other, I mean, unless we do it in all one big group battle, which, as we saw, we didn't really have much of a chance doing. My question is, where the hell is Nagumo? Where is Nagumo? We all made the theory that maybe this was Nagumo last chapter, and if it is clear that this is Sakamoto, what has Nagumo been doing this whole time? And it better have been something good, I say. There better have been a good reason for him to just be absent this entire time in such dire, critical moments of time. But until next chapter, guys, I will always be here covering this manga because I love it. I'm here till it ends, and I love going through this journey with you guys. So if you enjoy, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any other future Sakamoto Days videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.